Sir, hearty welcome to you. And we are amidst the session on urban agriculture. The farmers, urban farmers who are into urban agriculture, they are sharing their experiences with the village farmers, rural farmers, and lakhs of others. They are attending this program through social media. So we heartily welcome, sir. We are eager to listen to your words. Over to you, sir, please.
So thank you very much for inviting me. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Rajendra Prasad ji, the ex-Vice Chancellor, I could see him sitting on the dais, the Director Extension and all those senior officers from the university, and very dear participants, the farmers, farm women, rural youth. I welcome all of you on behalf of Indian Council of Agriculture Research. It's a great opportunity you have provided to me to interact with all of you. And when I came to know about the urban agriculture which is being discussed, it is again very fascinating new area on which we have to dwell upon. So I will definitely congratulate the Honorable Vice Chancellor who has taken this kind of initiative. And we know that in the years to come and at present also, our much more focus is on the quality production and also utilizing the spaces which are available in the urban bases, in the house itself, on terraces, on the roof, everywhere in the balconies, wherever we can produce. That is the purpose of urban agriculture. Even the water storage, the kind of houses we should have. So that's a great kind of fascinating thing. And I come to see many of the videos and photographs also. The people who are interested, the citizens who are living in the urban areas, they are doing wonders. And I find some of them are able to grow even trees like mango and other fruits. Guava, of course, used to be earlier produced, but now they have gone for a bigger tree, also managing the canopy of the crop. So that is quite fascinating. Vegetables, mushroom, and this all has been probably one of the areas which needs to be focused time and again. I find that the nutritional kind of agriculture, which tries to focus on the not only the production side of agriculture, but the nutrition side of agriculture, that is probably the best thing to happen when we find that people are aware that what they have to grow, how they have to grow, and what quantity of biological, chemical fertilizers has to be put into the soil in a right composition. So that is quite fascinating. A few years back, we started one program, NARI, we call Nutrition-Sensitive Agri-Resources and Innovations. And the focus in this program was also that how the biofortified crops and biofortified varieties, more than 70 has been released in the country, and those from the agriculture university and also from the ICR institutes. We are trying to focus on those crop varieties, and those varieties are of vegetables, fruits, crops, millets, everything. So those, first of all, I will request that let us make people aware about all those biofortified varieties which have been recently released, and people start thinking about those biofortified varieties. In the same series, the state of Karnataka and many of the tracts where irrigation is availability is less, the rainfall water is also not that much. In those regions, probably millets can make the wonder. In the recent past, there has been a lot of talk about the millets. 2023 has already been declared as the International Year of Millets. And this is the right time to pick its production, also the productivity, its processing, marketing, packaging, everything. And that is one area when I find that many of our agriculture university, including that in Bangalore, and also our Millet Research Institute in Hyderabad, they can combine together and they can work for it. One is that the quality seed, what Dr. Rajendra Prasad ji, Honorable Vice Chancellor, is specialized into, and I am very much sure that what the seed we have been lacking, the quality seed in most of the areas, particularly in the dry lands, that will be adequately addressed by the Vice Chancellor and the Agriculture University. That is one thing which I will definitely like to mention. We have created some pulsed seed hubs, and like that, I will request that those pulsed seeds also can be utilized for millet seed hubs. And if the same facilities are there, not much changes and not much additions of equipments and facilities are required, those platforms or those centers can be further utilized for the millet seed program. That is one more request I would like to make. The second thing about the nutrition is going for the Nutri Gardens. And I mention it because for the different eco-regions, we need to have a kind of household level, some kind of agriculture which has to happen around the house itself in the small area, whatever is available. And Nutri Gardens consisting different components, vegetables, fruits, even mushroom, honey production, and all those, even small fruit trees, all that can be done around the house for round the year availability of quality food materials. And this should be also taken as a campaign in the entire country. We are trying through our Krishi Vigyan Kendras, the Nutri Gardens. We have also worked with the Agriculture University and our ICR institutes to develop and to identify different kinds of Nutri models for different regions. That is another area which I would like to mention. At the same time, one thing more I would like to mention on the platform of nutrition, that whatever is being grown locally, that is very, very important for the, you can say, health of the human beings. And what kind of right composition could be there, a kind of thali which we have been talking about, the balanced thali based on the availability and the food items which are being grown locally, that can be again taken up on a serious note by all of us. The farm women, youth could be oriented, they could be trained. And I find that once you look into the data of our own country, more than 50% of the women and children are malnutrition. They are lacking some kind of nutrient deficiency in their body. And once we visit the doctors, they are prescribing many kinds of vitamin tablets and others. So this is one thing, if we can produce the quality food. And what I will again like to emphasize when farmers are there, the urban farmers are there, because the quality of soil, the health of the soil is very important. And when health of the soil is, you can say, important, robust, so the nutrients from the soil will flow to the plant, and from plant to grain, and from grain to our thali and in our food items. So probably once we are nursing our own, you can say, soils, lands, and then plants, we will find that we are getting the good quality of food grains, the quality food grains, and the issue of nutrition can be definitely addressed. So this is one area. Three things I said: biofortified varieties, then I said Nutri Gardens, and also I mentioned about the Nutri Thali, whatever is being produced, how in a balanced way we can take that the nutritional requirement of the human body as per the height and age could be sufficiently met out from the external food items which we are taking. So this is another very, very important concern which I wanted to mention. The other important area which is being talked about all over the globe, that the temperature on Earth is increasing. So temperature is gradually increasing. How to minimize the temperature? It should not go as much that we are not able to produce, we are not able to live on this planet. So in that respect, there are many climate resilient technologies which have been developed by our ICR system, including agriculture universities, and that too in particular University of Agriculture Sciences, Bangalore. And all those climate resilient technologies, whether those varieties which have been developed over time, even the technology, water harvesting kinds of structures, the irrigation kinds of facilities, and the methods which have been developed, and also the crops which require less water, the method of cropping, method of, you can say, crop production, so that with minimum water, how we can take the, you can say, the maximum production. That should be our goal of agriculture, that is another area which I would like to request all the farmers. The third most important area which I would like to mention, on which we have been talking about, that is farmers' income. How to increase farmers' income? I have seen jackfruit around Bangalore. Many processed products are coming from Bangalore, and that is example for other regions. So I will again request that this kind of processing is very, very important for doubling farmers' income. And that has to happen in a big way. If that starts happening for other fruits also, jackfruit is fine, but other fruits, we find that when tomatoes are grown in plenty, they are sold on throwaway prices. So that is a great concern. And government has already given a platform of micro food enterprises. More than 2 lakh micro food enterprises we are going to establish in the entire country. So maybe every district you will find more than 50, 60, 100 kinds of micro food enterprises will come up. And at every, you can say, alternate Nyaya Panchayat level, there should be a micro food enterprise in which whatever is being produced locally, that could be processed, even packaged and marketed for income to the farmers. So this is one area which I would like to say that everybody has to take note of it, the farmers, the youth, and best of the examples always I find comes from the southern region. And the states like Karnataka, they are very good. The farmers are very intelligent. They try to practice newer things. So I expect that newer, you can say, messages, models will emerge from the farmers in Karnataka. For doubling farmers' income, my personal experience has been that growing the same crops which we have been growing may not be, you can say, support us in a big way to increase the farmers' income. But if they can diversify their croppings, if they can include something different, what they were doing, if they can include poultry, they can include honey production, they can include mushroom production, whatever they were doing over that. So if that happens, probably I will find, I assume, and I'm very much confident, and this confidence has come from our experiences which we have been doing through ARYA project. We are running in 100 districts of the country. We find that by adding one activity on mushroom production, or even planting nurseries, or even you can say seed production, or even honey production. So one additional activity, if a farmer taking up, he can earn 10 to 12,000 rupees additionally per month on a smaller scale, not very commercial level. So this is another request from the farmers, those who are from the rural areas, that whatever you are doing, that is fine, but please identify, select one item, and you should start doing practice that activity also, so that your monthly and regular income starts. Probably that is the mantra in nowadays, that it's not that a traditional agriculture you will go for 2 crops or 1 crop in a year, and other time you will be sitting and not having any engagement. So there has to be something different to make the farmers' income double. ICR is also looking for those innovators who have done wonders. I find that our Atari, Bengaluru, and other Ataris, they are 11 in the country. They are trying to identify innovator farmers, those who have innovated. And their success stories we are trying to spread across the country. Honorable Prime Minister has also been talking about the farmers' successes in Mann Ki Baat. So that is one area, the success stories, identifying success stories, promoting those success stories, and let other farmers do accordingly what other one farmer has already achieved. So this is another thing which I will like to pursue through this platform, that the success stories, our KVK might be also joining, definitely from the Karnataka and this region, but I came to know that KVKs and farmers from all across the country, they are joining. So my message will be for doubling farmers' income also, that each one of you who are here, they should work for a messenger, as a messenger for the other farmers. If I know, I should let others know also. That should be a kind of understanding and message from us, that let us learn and let others also know it, what I have learned, so that everybody grows. It's not that I grow and others suffer, but the philosophy should be that everyone should combine together and come up to the expectation of everyone. So one more thing I will like to mention, that the government of India has announced farmers producer organizations, and it has to be 10,000 in the country, and it has got the purpose. Every day we are discussing on farmers producer organizations. We have worked earlier in the smaller groups like self-help groups and smaller farmers interest groups, but now the government is willing that on a larger scale there should be farmers producer organizations. Farmers producer organizations having 500 members, 1,000 members, even 3,000, 10,000, there is no limit of a farmers producer organization, and matching grant is being given by the government of India. And what is the advantage of FPO? What we perceive that first thing is that because of his small land holdings, it is not profitable if it is done by one individual farmer. If we start doing collectively, we can manage the inputs in a better way, the technology is better way, the advisory which is required from the outsource, that will be also easily and cheaper way it could be available. And also the most important thing is that any buyer who is trying to buy some product, he can contact you. If 1,000, 2,000 farmers are growing the same product, same variety of the same quality, anybody will be interested to come and buy those products. So that is another advantage of FPOs, and that is why Government of India is promoting. The other aspect which the FPOs can make is the processing and value addition units in their own, you can say, FPO. So that may be another advantage. When something is produced extra, that can be processed and kept for some time, and when prices are higher, they can be sold. So FPO provides a platform. Let us encourage and let us support this kind of activity which has been initiated by the Government of India, and all the states are party to it. And I'm very much sure that all our farmers, dear farmers who have been feeding this country, the production of food grains have been phenomenal all the time. Every year records are getting established in food grains production. Horticulture production also going almost 330 million tons. So there is no deficiency now. Deficiency is only in the oilseed sector, oilseeds, and we must work for the oilseeds also collectively, and we can identify the crops, we can identify the, you can say, the processing and marketing avenues, and also the pricing for the farmers. That is another area. And in the recent times, the prices for oilseeds have gone higher. So definitely farmers, if they come to know, I have seen many places in the farmers, they are identifying that what is the need of the market and what they need to produce. So if that starts happening everywhere, all the villagers become, you can say, aware, intelligent, and they start making their plans accordingly and catching with the markets. I am very much sure that the agriculture which is being talked about more, about the low income, can be talked other way also. It can be a better situation, happier situation in the villages, and the income levels could be raised at a higher level. So thank you very much. I will not take much time because digital speaking has some limitation. It's a one way I am speaking. I don't know my voice is reaching properly or not, but I hope so that it is reaching well. And I am able to communicate the message which I wanted to make. I wanted to be part of this farmers fair, Krishi Mela, which is very, very important to all of us. We say that Krishi Mela is a Sangam for farmers. We talk about Sangam where three rivers, Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati meet together. But Krishi Mela we call Sangam because farmers, scientists, industrialists, and other stakeholders all come at one platform. And it's a better place for farmers to learn, to see anything, to take advice from the scientists, to take advice from the industry, and also buy the technological products like seed and planting materials, which are available in the Krishi Mela. So thank you very much, Honorable Vice Chancellor Dr. Prasad ji, Dr. Rajendra Prasad ji, Director Extension, and all the faculty members from US Bangalore, and all our colleagues from Atari and KVKs, and all the farmers who have joined this platform. Namaskar.
We need to concentrate on biofortified varieties, nutri gardens, balanced diet, micro processing, and then we have to spread the success stories across the country so that others will also get enthused to double the farmers' income. And we also have to concentrate on farmers producers organization, and they can also take up value addition. And there is one more thing that needs to be encouraged, that is oil seeds production. And it is our duty to encourage the farmers who have been producing food grains on record basis in spite of all the hardships. Thank you very much, sir. We are indebted to you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Namaskar.
Just a minute, sir.
Sir, Honorable DDG Saab, thank you so much for, even though it is a Sunday, you have spared us time and addressed all our farmers and also entrepreneurs. Thank you so much, sir, on behalf of University of Agricultural Sciences, Bangalore. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. आपको भी और सभी किसान भाइयों को नमस्कार.
Thank you, sir.